Ain't that?
Oh, here it is, you have it?
Which one? Got Tom. That's Pelham. Here it.
It's Bell. BOWEN.
Okay, good.
Yeah, who's this?
He's the one filling in. Explained the need for the karate chop to break.
Where's the, how you doing? What's your name?
Paul.
Paul, I'm Bob. Do you have the name placards back there?
I know where they are.
How you doing, Cap? All right? Good. Other Bill. Good. Good, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry? I don't know. Hey, Judge.
One, Kane, do you have Bowen?
I've got multiple bounds.
You love, I've been doing it. That's short.
Oh, that's.
What are they? Are they probably that one? With pictures? I reckon.
Okay. Okay.
I'm here for the current physical therapy, 1200 Darby Road. On an 8, they're next to me. On Darby. Yes, I don't know.
One. You can do with John.
With the whole thing, just trying to show who's doing what, so.
You know, I have a few questions.
Yep. Oh, it's right in front of my face. Never mind.
You have commissioners meeting Monday, come.
I was.
So, both gonna testify, one gonna testify.
You want to do the pledge, Bill? Sure.
All right, thanks.
Sorry, comment. Great, thank you. You guys ready? We give them the go sign, Ed?
Okay.
Hey, Paul, we're ready. Oh, I don't see the red light on, so.
It's not going on. Light's not on. There it goes.
All right. We'll call to order the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, July 16, 2020. Present at the front table to my right is Bill Rhodes, a voting member. My far left, Jessica Vitale, a voting member. My immediate left, Ed McGarty, a voting member. At the table to the side, Bill Malone, our solicitor, and Kelly Kirk, Director of Codes for Haverford Township. We have one continued case and two new cases this evening. But before we begin, Bill, would you please lead us to the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Our continued case this evening is case Z20-9, Paul and Adriana Bowen, owners of 551 Brookline Boulevard, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 22080010100, who seeks a special exception from section 182711A3B, or in the alternative, a variance from section 182711A2 to exceed the 18-foot maximum height of the garage by 16 inches. Property is on R4, located in the 8th Ward.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you for the continuance, which I'm a lot more well prepared. Unfortunately, that night that I was here, my youngest son broke his arm, so I was kind of a little off-kiltered. So I did submit some pictures with to email them to Ms. Kirk, and I did a drawing of what actually is, because the last print was so small that I could barely read it even with my readers on.
Mr. Kane, if I may?
Yes.
So we have received two additional exhibits. A13 is a sketch plan of the proposed garage indicating an inside height with a maximum up top of 6 foot 7 inches, and other measurements contained therein. I think the 6 foot 7 was the one the board was most concerned with. A14 is a photograph of the garage in its present state. Is that correct, Mr. Bell?
Yeah, the photos that were taken are, yes, that's
Okay.
correct. That's
And
it.
would you like to move for the admission of A13 and A14 into the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those exhibits are admitted. Thanks, Bill. You have anything else, Bill?
No, that's it. I think I would just suggest to the board if they have any additional questions, especially after looking at A13.
Okay, Ed, you are the one that asked for the additional drawings, so why don't you go first?
Yes, so one of the things that I was concerned about is that the second floor can be converted to a living space, and one of the things that we've been holding to a lot of variance requests for two-story garages is that the finished floor to the top of the highest point in the unit would not be over 7 feet. So have you remeasured that now, and can you explain?
Yes, sir. On the drawing that I rendered above the window is 6 feet 3 inches to, I believe it's the ridge board. And then the 2x6s are on top of that, which is 6 feet 7. So I'm 6 foot, like I had said to you before, but you have to duck to go underneath it so you wouldn't hit your head. So those are the actual dimensions. And at the shortest point where the dormer is, it's 4 feet 2 inches tall. I took a picture of my kids to show that one of them was holding a tape measure. So, and at its highest point, where the dormer comes out is 16 feet 4 inches. I'm terrible at computers. Yeah, if you go back to the one, it'd be great.
This one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you. As you can see, that big ridge board where my two boys are standing is 6 feet 2, and I'm 6 foot 2, and then the 2x6s are there. So on that ridge board, I believe I wanted to put a pull chain light, and where the boys are standing is a window which is boarded up.
Okay.
So that's and in the picture above it's the garage entirely, which is, you can see about a 4 foot high stone veneer, natural stone veneer. And then there's going to be stucco above that and stucco on the sides with another pent roof that hasn't been installed yet, just above the garage doors. So it truly actually looks just like our house. So keeping in with the character of the neighborhood, and so it looks like everything else in normal. And I don't know if on that page or the next page, I did plant some trees on the one side. I don't know if I put that on there, but as you can see, it's just for bicycles, Christmas decorations, patio furniture, cushions, everything that we don't have, in our basement we can't store.
So the other issue that I just want to clarify now that you remeasured it for the height, maximum height.
Correct.
That did not change?
Correct, it hasn't changed.
Okay.
It's still exactly the same. The measurements that, the first print that we went on 2 weeks ago was the original copy, which was changed. So because I know for certain that, and I think it actually showed a person standing there walking, and as soon as I saw it, I said, no, you can't have anybody, it can't be that high because they don't want anyone living up there. And there's no electrical, there's no pipes, there's no running water. I have water on my deck when we installed a new deck. There's no water even out at the garage.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Jessica?
No question.
Bill?
No more questions.
thank you.
And
Do I-
Paul, you're going to have electricity in the garage, right?
Where the garage door openers, yes.
But that's the only utility? No running
Other
water?
than a couple other outlets on the inside.
But electricity?
Yeah,
in the building,
electricity, yeah.
That's it? No heat, no?
No.
Okay. Okay. With that, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, other than, my wife and I put our heart and soul into this, a lot of thought and, trying to, because there was a lousy little garage there before, which looked like a shed, so
Okay.
just trying to improve
Thank you.
surroundings, that's all.
With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify in this case? Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will be rendered later this evening. In the event, for some reason, that we're unable to render a decision this evening, a decision would be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting on July 30th.
Okay. Should I hang around for a little bit?
It's up to you, Paul. There's no reason to. You can, I don't know if Kelly's in tomorrow. You can call Kelly and ask her, or you can hang around. It's up to you.
All right, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Our first new case is Z20-10, Thomas D. Thornton, owner of 1613 Pelham Avenue, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2206-017380, who seeks a variance from the provisions of section 182-713B to create a new lot from a parcel where the existing dwelling currently encroaches into the required 30-foot front yard setback on Pelham Avenue by 9.36 feet, and into the required 12-foot secondary front yard setback on Homestead Road by a maximum of 6.44 feet. Property is zoned R4, low to medium density residential, and located in the 6th Ward.
Sorry, bear with me. I completely forgot how to do a full screen. And, okay, let's try it again. Wipe that down.
So you want to go through the exhibits again? When
After
Tom-
you swear the witness
Yeah,
again.
let Tom.
And just go through, and that's all your exhibits, okay? Good.
Hey, Tom. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Thomas D. Thornton, 68 Yale Road, Havertown, PA.
Mr. Kane, if I may, I have reviewed the application, and standing has been established. We also have pre-marked 6 exhibits. Mr. Thornton, just if you could listen for a second. A1 is a photo of the existing home taken from Pelham Avenue. A2 is a photo of the existing home taken from the corner of Pelham and Homestead Avenues. A3 is a photo of the northeast side of the property where the proposed new construction would take place. A4 is a proposed subdivision plan dated January 31, 2020 by RKW Engineering Services. A5 is grading plans dated January 30, 2020 from RKW Engineering Services. And A6 is existing condition plans from RKW Engineering Services, also dated January 30, 2020. Have I accurately identified these 6 pre-marked exhibits?
Yes,
And would you like those to be moved into the record?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the exhibit A1 through A6 is admitted. Tell us a little bit about what you would like to do and why, Tom.
All right, thank you for hearing this tonight. Number one, the hardship that I'm looking for, I didn't want to change the character of the existing house. I'd have to take down the porch. By right, I know I could probably knock the house down and, change the whole character of it and put them back up. I'd rather not do that. It's a nice house. It's gonna do it over, and one of my sons may move into the new house, as a matter of fact. He's trying to get financing. The new house location would be in conformity with the neighborhood and not detract from its health, safety, or welfare. The relief sought will not detract from the use of the neighboring property or from the character of the neighborhood. The project will have the logical, efficient, and economical extension of public services and facilities such as public water and sewer. It's a nice property. I'm just wanted to put another house next door to it. Like I said, my son is interested in possibly moving in there. I'll take any questions.
Tom, if you took the porch off of this house, you're saying that you'd be permitted to build the new house on the other lot
That is
without
correct.
requesting a variance?
That's correct.
But you're basically saying that doesn't make sense because this house adds to the character of the neighborhood, and you just don't want to alter this. You want to leave it as it is.
That is correct.
Jessica?
So based on the plot plan, it looks like in addition to the porch, you'd actually have to take out part of the house to make it compliant. So is that what you were referencing by just taking the whole house down?
Yes, well, yes, kind of.
Okay, so it's not just the porch, you'd actually knock down
Well,
the
the porch,
entire
if I
house?
took that out, I believe I'd be okay as well.
Okay. Well, because the turret and part of the front of the house actually
Yes.
are in the setback as
Right.
well.
Okay.
There's no parking shown for this existing house?
No, it's off-street.
But where on the lot off street is
You
it?
have Pelham and you also have Homestead.
So it's on-street parking?
I'm sorry, on-street park, my bad.
I believe by the zoning code, you're required to provide 2 off-street parking spaces. Is that correct, Kelly?
That is, and that's a nice catch.
So we would need to see what that off-street parking would look like and what that does to change the impervious cover of the house.
That could be put on the side of Homestead if it had to be.
But it has to be off the street. So I'm saying there's no calculation for the impervious surface for that parking for the existing 2-story house.
So are you saying that I need parking off-street?
Yes. For the zoning code. You need 2 spaces.
Okay, so if what would I have to do to apply to pave the backyard?
I mean, we would just have to see what that looks like in terms of the impervious coverage.
Okay, the runoff.
So I guess what you could do is prepare another drawing and depict where a driveway or might be that allows for 2 off-street parking spots for each of the homes. And then calculate the impervious.
The new house would have it because it's a driveway in the front.
Okay. So you could show a driveway or something that provides 2 off-street parking spots for the old house, and then also redo the impervious surface coverage calculations to show that the area in bulk and impervious coverage, what the new ratios would be, or request a variance from the parking requirements.
Mr. Kane, if I may.
Go ahead, Paul.
Kelly and I were both looking at this. The requirement for the existing property would be a 45% maximum impervious.
Maximum impervious.
And Kelly has done some calculations based on adding 2 parking spots.
Very quick math, if a minimum parking space is 9 by 18, so assuming 2 is, I'm sorry, a minimum size of a parking space is 9 by 18. So assuming for 2, you would have 18 by 18, which is 324 square feet, which would only bring the proposed impervious surface ratio for Lot 1 to 30.81%.
And
Okay.
45 is permitted,
45 is permitted.
so, okay.
Okay, no further questions for me.
Bill?
Just to follow up on that, I think the plan is depicted for your existing, or the grading plan shows that the macadam driveway, the existing driveway would be removed.
Correct.
And so presumably, when they redo that, it'll show that the macadam drive in some measure is staying at least.
Right.
So in addition to the calculation, you might just want to, these plans will be submitted as evidence, so you might want to have it corrected,
Okay.
that at least show which portion would be removed and which portion would be retained.
Okay. No problem.
Ed?
The existing house on the front yard setback. Did you look at any of the other houses on the block, and is this fairly common on the street or not?
To be honest with you, I didn't look at any of the other ones.
And do you know the age of the house?
It's over 100 years, I think.
Over 100 years
Yeah.
old? Okay, and you said the new house was going to be in compliance with the, everything in the code?
Correct.
Okay, no other questions?
And I don't have any questions. Should we do residents tonight, Bill? Do you have any other questions, Bill? Jess, you good?
I'm good.
Anything, so Tom, we're going to continue this case at the end of it and ask you
Actually-
to bring back,
Mr. Kane, if I could,
yep,
I was just handed an email dated July 15, 2020, from a resident, Presley Schwinn, SCHWINN, regarding this matter. It is a letter in opposition. The full name is Mary Presley, Presley Schwinn, 1605 Pelham Avenue. And I'll read it into the record and would suggest to be marked as P1. Dear Zoning Hearing Board, I write to lodge my protest against the petition from the owner of 1613 Pelham Avenue seeking a variance from Haverford Township zoning codes for construction on a lot he has acquired. I apologize for the tardiness of this correspondence, since the Zoning Hearing Board will be meeting on Thursday, July 16, 2020. However, the deadline for commenting by email was June 29, and the posting on the property, as well as receipt of notification by mail, did not occur until late last week. The owner who is developing the property at 1613 Pelham Avenue must have been fully informed about the zoning code in advance, and yet drew up plans that do not, do meet code requirements. Asking for a variance versus following the guidelines written for this neighborhood is wrong. Asking for a variance versus following the guidelines written for this neighborhood is wrong and sets a precedent for other developers to follow. We wish to protect the character of our neighborhood, which would be greatly diminished if the Zoning Hearing Board votes in favor of a variance for this property. Our concern for development plans also extends to the vacant lot next door. I hope you will be able to assist us with this very important issue. Since the township understandably encourages participation on July 16th by watching the live broadcast, it would be very difficult to voice our opinions in real time. I thank you in advance for your consideration of this request. With kind regards, Mary Presley Schwinn.
what was that address, Bill?
1605 Pelham Avenue. I would suggest that I mark this as P1. I'll return it to Kelly for incorporation into the record.
Okay. Anything else? Bill? Hello?
Yes,
Is that it?
that is it.
That's. But, yeah, you can have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll go through the litany again. Is there anyone present at this hearing that received certified mail that wants to testify? Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. I have to swear you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Brendan Vaughn, 712 Homestead Avenue. Brendan Vaughn, Vaughan, 712 Homestead.
What would you like to tell us?
So I agree with the comments from the other neighbor, but I also just wanted to get up and make sure that both properties, if subdivided, will meet all the zoning requirements with the exception of the front and side yard variance, right? I think I just understood that that is
That's-
correct, right?
That's what was testified to, and that's what the plans depict.
Okay, that's my only comment.
So can I just ask you a question? So
Yeah.
you said you concur with the letter from the neighbor that we just had read out. knowing the depiction of the proposed development and the variance requested, which is limited to the ability to preserve the existing house, are you in favor or opposition to the application?
Well, I would rather not see that lot developed. I guess technically, developing both lots assumes a variance will be granted, right? Is that correct? Because you probably could not develop two properties there and meet the zoning requirements.
I can answer that, Mr. Kane. Mr. Vaughn, I think just for clarification, what was testified to and what exists here is if the existing home that is there now was knocked down, there would be no need for a variance to build two new homes on the two lots. So the applicant is here because he does not wish to knock down the existing home in order to come into compliance for that lot. The other lot would be fully in conformity with the code.
So I appreciate that. I'd rather see that house stay than two new houses. But beyond that, and that's a nice gesture, but beyond that, I wonder what the benefit to the neighborhood would, I'm worried what the new house will look like, if it will really be in character with the rest of the neighborhood, or whether it will be built to the lowest common denominator. I don't know if you can govern that or not, but I guess fundamentally, I'm for keeping the existing house as it is, so I appreciate the gesture. So in that regard, I guess I'm really just want to make sure that in the end, both lots will meet zoning requirements in terms of coverage, setbacks, impervious coverage, with the exception of the front yard and the side yard that they already set back. And I'm willing, in order to keep the house the way it is, we can, I think it's okay.
So Brendan, may I ask you a question as well? Do most of the houses have off-street parking in that neighborhood?
Yeah, everyone has
Has a driveway?
Yeah.
And this house does not?
The existing house does have a driveway, right?
Yes.
It's right next to the house.
Okay, I see it. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Brendan?
No, that's it.
Ed or Jess, do you have questions for Brendan?
No.
Ed?
No, other than the fact that I know that not all the houses have driveways, because my daughter looked at a house on Pelham that didn't have a driveway. So,
On Pelham, which,
Yeah.
I don't know that house then.
yeah, it was a big old house too. And unfortunately, it was riddled with termites, so we didn't, we didn't look at it any further.
Are there any images of what the proposed development will look like?
No. What's relevant to us as a board
Yeah.
is basically, does he have to bring the current existing house into compliance, which would basically mean tearing it down from his
Right.
testimony,
Right.
or keep the existing house and build the new house? It seems like the new house is a foregone conclusion. It's a matter of what happens to the old house. Is that fair, Bill?
That's correct.
So,
Okay,
just so we're clear on what
understood.
the purview is. If you were requesting variances or some other relief for Lot 2, then we would, the hearing would be a little more deep
Sure.
and get
No, I
into what the
understand.
appearance of the house would be and so forth. But when it's 100% compliant with the codes,
I get it.
we rely on the code.
And just for a bit of further clarification, if this variance is approved, they are going to have to go before the planning commission for the actual subdivision process, where we will be, considering stormwater management, and other subdivision land development requirements, the zoning code, et cetera. So this isn't, the one-stop shopping by any means. This is just to see if they are able to develop the lot with that house as it stands in that front yard setback. Otherwise, yes, this would be, they wouldn't need a variance to build two brand-new houses, just be going to the planning commission. But this is a two-step process because of that.
I understand. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that received certified? Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please?
Christopher Whiting, 630 Beechwood Drive. So one, I want to thank you guys, for your service, especially this young lady over here who's, got to listen to everybody through the mask, so I know that's kind of hard. So I've been in this neighborhood 30 years. Most of you guys know me, so I just want to say that we've been stuck with house after house after house in this neighborhood on impossibly small lots with unbelievable amounts of water runoff. So if you look at Homestead and Beechwood Road, Homestead empties out into Pelham, which is the address of this house is. All of the water from Haverford Road, there's not a storm sewer on that block, runs down the road, makes a turn on Pelham, comes down Pelham, meets Beechwood. Commissioner Twardy, I don't even know how many years ago, 15, 18 years ago, had a drainage project put in there. It's has done fairly well. There's a lot of water runoff now, a lot. The township just 2 weeks ago completed at the bottom of Beechwood Drive, where all the water, ends up going into Cobb's Creek, just had to totally excavate, a whole hill and replace the storm sewer there because there was already so much water runoff. So, if, I'm totally against development of this property, I definitely think that, this is no hardship. This is a financial decision that Mr. Thornton is trying to develop this property. It's a money-making proposition. This has happened many times in our neighborhood. We have 2 stucco houses across the street that a guy got a variance for. Those people have had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on stucco remediation. Those houses are only 25 years old. Tremendous amount of water runoff from those properties. It just seems like, we're, developing every single spot of land here, and, we're having overflows on the sewer. We're having, water runoff problems. I understand that, there's a tax incentive here. A new house is going to bring in $10,000 more of taxes. As a neighborhood, we're against it. We just keep getting stuck with house after house after house. And the hardship is he needs to make more money. He is not going to take down, in respect to Mr. Thornton, a house that he just remodeled. That house is completely remodeled. That house is almost ready for sale. I'm sure a beautiful job was done. The front porch is still intact, which is part of the historical integrity of the neighborhood. So I don't believe that he's going to knock down a perfectly good house that's ready for sale that he just remodeled in order to put up 2 new ones. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that point up, and I hope you guys can see my point of view here. I had nothing against Mr. Thornton. He's a township resident for a long time, but we live in this neighborhood. This is a minimum lot. I don't even know how it could comply, but between the water runoff and the sewer problems we're having, I just can't see giving a variance for hardship when there is no hardship. This is basically a financial money-making proposition, and we're stuck with the house and the aftermath of that. So thank you. If you any questions for
Yeah,
me?
1 second, Chris. Bill?
Yeah, Mr. Whiting, a couple of your points, you referenced the neighborhood and used the first person plural, we. Are the comments that you're making here personal to you, or are you here as a representative that's been appointed on behalf of a neighborhood?
So we have a civic association, Beechwood Civic Association, okay? And I don't know if you know, but most civic associations in Havertown were started up because of some kind of major problem. And I could reference the South Ardmore Business Betterment Association because, they needed to do something like that. So we have a civic association. We mostly have social events now. I'm not on the board of that civic association, but if it came down to this was a petition, or you needed, 300 people to show up to a meeting, it could be arranged. So yeah, the support in the neighborhood is, we're just done putting up with, houses squeezed in on every square inch. Because the people who, put those homes in, they don't end up living there. And if they do live there, they live there for a year or two, they move on, and we're stuck with, some less open space, more water runoff.
You had said that you thought that the houses were on postage stamp lots, suggesting that the lots are tight. The minimum square footage of lots in this zoning district is 6,000 square feet.
50 feet wide, right?
Well, right, that's the lot width. And that, he's not looking for variances on that. The proposed subdivision would result in one lot that's 12% over the minimum, almost 7,000 square feet, and the other one's more than 7,300 square feet. So there is a margin there of greater than 10% over the minimum lot size.
Correct. If I'm correct, this board still has to, the proposer has to show hardship to get the variance for the setback. Is that correct? So it's still one of the power of this board to decide whether or not, they want to grant the variance for a setback.
Let me ask you one other question, which I'd asked Mr. Vaughn. Would you rather see this house preserved and the second lot built within the requirements, all applicable area and bulk requirements, height and everything? Or would you rather see two new homes that both of which conform all the zoning requirements?
So, one of the, the answer to that question is, of course, we'd like to see the home preserved. I actually have a picture of that house when it was probably 2 weeks built, where there was no other houses in the entire block going up Homestead. So I'm vice president of the Historical Society, so of course I want the house preserved. But I'm telling you, Mr. Thornton has already invested, $100,000 or something in his house. He's not going to take that house down. If he doesn't get his variance, he will sell that house, he will make money, okay, and we'll still have an empty lot with, no house on it. So there is no hardship here. That's my point is, variances are always granted. I don't know why when, it's always the hardship here is not going to make as much money as he was going to make already.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. I would say that I'm going to give you what I think is the hardship, and the hardship is the fact that this house is over 100 years old, and it was put there with the lot conformities prior to these setback requirements be put in. So that is in itself a hardship. So it's not because he's going to create a new violation. The violations exist, which probably exist on a number of them. I also believe the stormwater, which I sympathize with because I know the problem you're talking about. Unfortunately, this will also have to have stormwater management, and I have to believe that it should be able to compensate for that if it was approved. So
With
hopefully
like
that.
the underground tank in the front yard or whatever.
I don't know. There's nothing on here that suggests what they're going to do for that stormwater. But that was the hardship that I would.
Okay.
And water runoff issues will be determined at planning as part of the subdivision process, and it's not before us, it's not within our review.
Jess,
No questions.
I did not recognize you with your mask on, so.
Thank you.
You know what, could I ask one question? As someone involved in preservation, longtime resident, does this house, the front of the porch, extend into the front yard setback, or let's just say distance from the right-of-way? Is this particularly far forward, or is this sort of in line with other homes, let's say on either side or around the corner?
Now, I would say that the size of the porch right now is consistent with the neighborhood. And by the way, there are there's about 6 homes on Pelham Avenue, and 2 of them do have no off-street parking.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman,
I'm going to ask Chris one more question. Given a choice, would you rather this home have its own separate off-street parking, or, which would create a little more impervious?
That street is already tight, okay, so I don't know if you guys know, but I know Ed knows, but Guest Track is there, okay, which is a public park. Some people call it the hidden park because there's no parking lot, you know, so anybody going to that park or any event in that park they're parking on that street, okay? So that street, if there's cars parked on both sides of that street, only one car can make it down the middle. There's no, you know, you have to wait. Right at the edge of the developed property, there's a sign, no parking beyond this point, because what happens is people get down there and they got to turn around.
Right.
Okay.
I guess my question is, if he were forced to add impervious surface for off-street parking, which necessarily would add to runoff, would you rather
I'd rather
that
see
be
the
the case?
parking off-street, absolutely.
And I'm sorry, just as a second note, they didn't request a variance for the removal of they have an existing off-street parking area. This would bring it to a non-conforming situation by not allowing any off-street parking with Lot 1 where the existing house is. So they'd be required to, or have to come back for another variance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
Lot 1 has a long driveway that you could put, you know, 5 cars in, so.
Any other questions? Jess?
Yeah.
Ed?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to correct the record. I want to apologize to the other gentleman. After seeing Chris Whiting, I realized I had the wrong P Street when I was talking about my daughter, so I apologize for saying the wrong one. It was another street with the name P that we looked at a house
Right.
that didn't have a driveway.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Stay well. Is there anyone else that received certified mail? Anyone that received regular mail? Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please?
It's Constance Moran,
What's your address, Constance?
1632 Pelham.
And what would you like to tell us?
Just my feelings on living in this wonderful neighborhood for over 50 years. And I did a little homework, and there are 8 houses on Pelham. And yes, Chris was right. There's 2 houses without driveways. But all of the houses are 90 years old or older. Every single house. So to have a new development, I'm very much against it in the neighborhood where I live and love. And there is a entrance to the park, and I think that's going to be compromised. And also, as Chris said, there is a sign. I called the township 2 weeks ago. It's been removed. I cannot get out of my street. I cannot get out of my driveway. People come to the park because of COVID. It's much more busy. They pull in and they park at the end of the street, and the sign is missing. So I did call the township. It's gone. And it's back where the lot is to be developed, so.
I don't have any questions for Constance. Bill, you?
No questions, thank you.
Just
Ed?
very much against it.
Ed, questions for Constance?
No.
Thank you.
Jess?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Constance.
Yep.
Anyone else that received certified mail? Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? Anybody else want to talk about this case? Okay, with that, we will continue this case to our next regularly scheduled meeting on July 30th for the purpose of Mr. Thornton bringing a revised plan in to present to the board. And any questions, additional questions from Mr. Thornton that the board might have. All right. Tom, you understand what you're doing? Yes. All right, thank you. With that, this case is continued. You know what, Ed, do the job. Let's take 5.
Right?
Within this.
Off the record.
2020. Our next new case is Z20-13, James and Kristen Curran, owners of 1200 Darby Road, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2207-003430, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182802B to expand the footprint of the existing 858 square foot non-conforming medical office by 683 square feet. Property is zoned R4, low to medium density residential, and located in the 7th Ward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record, please?
Mr. Kane, if I may,
Yes.
we do have an exhibit list with 7 pre-marked exhibits. We also have now been handed an 8th exhibit. I'd like to identify them and have the applicant confirm that I properly described them. A1 is a site plan and foundation plan prepared by Ronald D. Seiboth, S-E-I-B-O-T-H, March 9, 2020. We have Exhibit A2 as a floor plan and roof plan from the same architect, dated the same date. We have Exhibit A3, which are elevation plans, again, same architect, same date. We have A4, which are building details for different sections of the building, same architect, same date. We have Exhibit A5, the Delaware County tax map regarding this property. A6 is a photo of the existing building taken from Darby Road. A7 is a rendering of the proposed building exterior from Darby Road. And A8 is what I would indicate is simply another plot plan, which I believe is provided to show that 2 of the parking spaces would be eliminated to create pervious ground. And by looking at this, I would suggest that the removal of those parking spaces still would leave the property in compliance with the parking regulations. I did confer with Ms. Kirk, and we are both in agreement with that. Mr. Curran, have I properly identified all of those exhibits? And would you like to have those admitted into the record?
Okay, those exhibits are admitted into the record. Thank you, Bill. Please tell us a little bit about what you would like to do and why.
So, I have my business in Havertown. Often, and I need more space. Property, and after that building has a parking lot. I also want to be able to have a private treatment room, private, and then more space for
Is your business at this location now? So you have this building under agreement, or did you buy it already?
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
Yes, yeah.
It's under agreement? Okay. So as you look at this location, you use the word, we want to do this, we want to do that. Do you need to do that in order to service the patients that you see, or do you want to do it? If you need to do it, that's the basis of a hardship. So I want you to.
Yeah, well, I need I'm like a one-man show. With treating more patients, but I'm I'm kind of running out of room.
Do you find your current location how big is your current location?
It's roughly 350 square feet, I believe, usable space.
And does that constrict your ability to see patients and?
It does, yeah, especially with privacy. I don't have private treatment rooms right now, so I have to space my patients out a little more than I would like to. And, especially with everything that's going on right now, I'd like to be able to have enough space to be able to socially distance patients, because it doesn't really seem like this is going away anytime soon.
Jessica?
Is the existing building currently used as a medical office?
It was a dentist office.
It was a dentist office, okay. And a part of the variance is because you're building more than 50% of the current footprint.
Correct.
You're adding 683 square feet. Could you achieve what you want to with just an additional 425 square feet?
Not
Would you
really.
look at that?
I mean, if I want to have the equipment that I really feel I need to get my patients back, I would need that space. And to be able to have private treatment room and private office in regards to HIPAA laws and things like that for billing and dealing with insurance companies, calling doctors.
Okay.
So right now, I got to kind of schedule time where nobody's in my office to be able to do that.
And are you changing the existing parking at all as part of the work?
No, we're really just eliminating, for pervious coverage, eliminating 2 spots to make up for the coverage of the proposed addition.
Okay, no further questions.
Ed?
Yeah, a little perplexed here. So you purchased this property and not using it currently?
Correct.
And this is a non-conforming use. And part of the reason we have zoning and regulations and the exhibits that the provisions you're trying to get variances from is so that we can bring properties back into compliance. And this 50% takes it in the extreme, that makes it even worse. I'm just trying to, what would be the justification for the residential neighborhood that this would not be a harm to them?
I don't manage 5 and 6 patients an hour. I'm not a major chain, so at most I have 2 to 3 patients, and that's when I'm busy. I don't plan to expand to where I'm seeing 30 patients an hour. The parking that I have now is street parking and a municipal lot. So the 8 spots that would be left would be more than enough for myself. So I don't think that would encroach upon the residents. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you would want to go through and what variances, what exactly the ordinance says and how you do address it or don't address it or feel it's not an impact. I think it's very important that you should go through those items for us.
Okay. Well, to the best of my knowledge, I thought it was for the pervious coverage. That's why I thought I needed the variance.
Right, my understanding is that from an area and bulk perspective, with the removal of the 2 parking spaces, there would be full compliance with area and bulk. The nonconformity is a use nonconformity, not an area and bulk nonconformity. So if the variance was to be granted by the board, there would not be any issues in that regard. It would we're simply here because of the 50% rule.
And that's the only one? So there was 2 listed on the hearing bill.
That was just a miscommunication. I probably should have removed it. The 182-1004 is just the standards for the determination of variances, how you, the board, is required to grant a variance or not. That was just something that I sent to Mr. Kern as an FYI of what standards needed to be met for relief. The actual relief that he's requesting is from 182-802, regulations concerning nonconforming uses, where it says that a nonconforming use cannot be expanded more than 50%. So because the footprint is being expanded more than 50%, that is why we're here. But all the area and bulk requirements are being met. Off-street parking is being met, even with the removal of the 2 parking spaces, so that he does conform with the impervious surface ratio for the R4 zoning district.
Okay, could you go maybe review the square footages? Is there more than one floor? Is there a cellar?
So it's a 1 floor, the current building? Or what?
What you want to do? In other words, you want to expand it by more than 50%, but I'm trying to find out what all you included in that 50% over 50%.
Yeah, so, let's see here. Should be a site plan. So this is looking at the building from Darby Road. We hope to have a reception area, a private office, private bath for myself, and then a bathroom for the patients, and then a private treatment room. The expansion to the right would be primarily for space for gym equipment.
And for the record, the applicant is referencing Exhibit A2.
Okay, and so there will be no second floor, no storage?
No.
Space on the second floor?
No,
There will be no basement or cellar?
no, it's a slab footing for the current property.
Thank you.
I believe the addition would have a crawl space just for access and need be for plumbing issues, things like that.
And with the expansion, you're not into the setbacks, it says, but are you going to be needing to add air conditioning units outside? Are you going to?
Just the existing unit that's there, we'll be just swapping that out for a newer unit.
And can you tell me where that unit is currently located?
So that it's currently located on the back of the building, behind the building, off of the parking lot. If that makes sense. So if you're looking at this picture here, is there a way to use like a, oops. So if you're just going up the center line where the addition, off the existing building, it'd be in the middle of the back wall.
And again,
Surrounded by bushes.
just for the record now, we've switched to Exhibit A1, just for the record.
Do you have any idea how close you are to the neighbor's property on the other side, not the Manor Road side, but the other side?
Approximately, I don't know, but I know the drawings were drawn within the requirements of what's allowed.
Yeah, but there's no buffer requirement or landscape requirement?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. There would be if it was in the proper zone.
Okay.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Jess?
I have no other questions.
Bill?
As proposed, with your additional, 675 square feet, you said currently you're kind of limited because of the space to 2 to 3 patients per hour. How long is a typical session that you have for physical therapy?
Usually anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes.
So there may be 2 or 3 people there at the same time or overlapping a little bit during any given hour.
Yeah, I mean, I can't deliver care if I have multiple patients going at once, so.
And if you were able to expand and you can have the use of a proposed multipurpose room, this is like one room, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
But you'd have, how many pieces of equipment are you planning to put in?
I mean, currently I have just 3 pieces, a treadmill, a rowing machine, and no, just those 2, and a bike. I would like to be able to add a stair machine for patients that struggle with getting up, down steps. I'd like to add a free weight area for weight training for patients. And just to have proper space between the equipment that's safe for the patients to be getting on and off if other patients are present.
People could use the equipment at the same time?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And in that scenario, would you still be working solo, or would you have to bring on other people to help manage the private
The patient
meetings?
flow, or,
Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, currently, I'm able to manage it with my 2 to 3 an hour. If I was getting up to the point where it was 4 or 5 an hour, I would need somebody. But, you know, the projection on when that would happen, I mean, I've been at it 7 years, I've grown it to where it is, but I couldn't give you like a timeline on that, or.
And I wasn't looking for a timeline, I'm
Okay.
just thinking that the goal for you is to grow your business.
Yes,
We've
yeah.
heard, and that would allow you to see more patients in the same number of hours of the day.
Correct.
Right? So you would perhaps need to bring on a second therapist, or?
No, what I would need more is, at this point, administrative, you know, help, because like I said earlier, I have to allot myself time where I probably could be seeing patients, where I have to make my phone calls to the doctor's office, insurance companies, for authorizations and treatment plans from the doctors.
Sure, understood. And you have a reception area here, but you man that yourself currently?
Yeah, my reception area right now is one of my treatment tables when there isn't a patient there, so.
All right. If you were successful and you were able to, how many people do you think you could treat in any one time or in a given hour? If you had a receptionist that freed you up for some of this other stuff?
I mean, comfortable with 1 therapist, myself, 3. You know, I think that's a safe amount.
3.
But the other insurances dictate how many you can see and how often. So it's a difficult question to answer.
Well, let's just say from a design point of view,
Mm-hmm.
how many people would this be designed to handle if you had the volume?
If I had the volume, I think 5 patients an hour.
Okay. And so if you were successful, you'll have, you don't live there, right?
No, I do not.
Right. So if you had 5 patients in an hour and you had some coming and going, and yourself and a receptionist, do you have enough parking if you give up spots 7 and 8?
I believe I would. I mean, there's street parking, and I would, if I had to, I'd park in the municipal lot down the street.
Mr. Rhodes, if I may, the application is based upon existing conditions and use. I believe, and Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, that if additional staff was brought on, that would have to be calculated to see if the applicant was still in compliance with the parking regulations, and if not, the applicant would have to come back before this board to ask for additional relief for parking in order to do so.
How would you know?
That's an enforcement issue. I'm just telling you from a legal standpoint what it would be.
The off-street parking ratio for medical offices is calculated per doctor and per employee. So the requirement is 4 spaces per doctor, 1 space per 2 employees. If you were to add another doctor or another practitioner, he would have to come back for a variance for parking.
So my concern is that we may not have 2 practitioners. We may just have a staff member. And I give you credit for proposing to take up lots 7 and 8. I think the question is that in order not to burden the street, is that a good decision? There's pros and cons. I was just pointing out that if your facility as designed and as proposed were successful in you accomplishing your business goals, that 6 parking spots might not be enough to handle 5 people in an hour, you, a receptionist, and the coming and going of patients in a lot that doesn't really, provide for more than essentially the 6 that you've got if you take those 2 up.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
How do you intend, if this application is approved, for the exterior finish on the new structure to be consistent with the existing, or?
No, I mean, there is a picture. So that is the current property, what it looks like. And this is the hope to make it look like this picture here.
All right. Jess, any other questions? Ed?
I have no other questions.
Bill?
No other questions?
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate your time, and I just, I'm just looking to grow my business. I enjoy being able to live in the town that I work in, and that's, to me, is like Main Street, and being able to be there and treat the neighbors and, kids that my own kids go to school with. It's something I, really enjoy, and this property puts me right in the heart of that, so,
Okay. Thanks, James.
thank you.
With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify. Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township?
I never got either.
That's okay.
I just knew,
You could
and
stay.
I saw the sign posted, but I.
Well,
I
please
didn't
come forward.
Mess.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So, yes, I do.
And your full name and address, please?
Michelle Del Bonifro, 1208 Darby, 1208 Darby.
Could you spell your last name?
D as in dog, E-L. B as in boy, O. N as in Nancy, I. F as in Frank, R-O.
What's your address again, Michelle?
1208, 1208.
Darby, right? What would you like to tell us, Michelle?
Well, I'm delighted that I have a physical therapist going next door to my business. My concern is the expansion is coming so close to my property line. I'm concerned with the runoff and drainage. And the removal of the parking spaces, which way were you planning on that happening? I didn't.
Wait, no, Michelle, you need to direct your comments and questions to the board.
Okay, the parking, what part of the lot was going to be removed?
Here, Michelle, I'll share with you this, which is Exhibit A8. So, these are the spots that exist now, and it's these two spots that
Oh, so it's the spots that are up against Manor Road, or is it the spots towards my property?
And what you're going to do, James, is make a note of these questions, and then you'll come back up and address the board and give your answers to the board. We just don't have back and forth between applicants.
Okay.
So did this help you understand at least what you're going to do, whether or not you're in favor of it? But
Yeah, not really. If there was a choice for me, it would be great if he would take the parking towards my property for the grass land, for the drainage and runoff and the rain and the snow and all that other kind of stuff. That would be my preference. I thought that I was going to buy the property.
Where's your property relative to this one?
I am right next door, 1208.
So if I were facing it, are you to the left or to the right?
I'm to the right. There's nothing on the other side facing it. It's the road, Manor Road. He's a corner lot.
Right. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue with
Yeah,
your...
so it's a compliment for us. There's medical office. It would be wonderful if the community right in that section could remain that way. That would be a blessing for the whole community. So I'm happy about this. But I was looking into buying it, and I was told I could only go out 10 feet, which I was like, oh gosh, that's not gonna, I don't know what I think about that. And then I get the presentation of these plans that are like, wow, they're like going out nearly 20 feet. It looks like they're coming mostly in my direction. And then I'm still, we're gonna have trouble with drainage. Maybe one of those E.P. Henry parking lots or something, that would be cool. I don't know, but that's my concern.
So water runoff is your primary concern?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions for Michelle? Bill?
Yeah, so which way does this property slope? I don't believe that any of the, does the property slope downhill from Manor to your house, or?
You know, I have a tree line there that has been a blessing for Dr. Stropp and I. So it really takes up a lot of that. So I'm somewhat concerned about that being an issue, because that has been so protective for both of us for snowstorms or anything of that sort, or when the rain goes off. It just sucks it right up like a sponge. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, enough, thank you.
Okay.
Ed?
Yes, and you said that you operated a, some type of business as well? What type of?
Yes, I have Mainline Therapeutic Massage and Spa. I've been there 24 years. So I also occasionally see injury clients. So I'm thrilled. We'll be a compliment for each other.
Thank you.
So, are you in favor of this, Michelle? Because on my notes, I put
I'm in
opposed.
favor of it, but I am, and it looks good. I'm a little concerned it's coming a little too close to my property line. Can he go out that in the back a little bit more, or, you know, can we come up with a different thought wave here?
The proposal is as it was presented, so
Yeah.
after Jess asks any question that Jessica had, I just want to ask you if you're able to clarify whether you're in favor or opposed to it. But Jess, do you have questions? Okay, back to you,
I'm
Michelle.
in favor if, you know, it's going to be done properly. Of course, he's going to do that.
Any other questions?
I just did want to mention that the proposed side yard setback is at the 8-foot minimum side yard setback, so they are in compliance with the setback between your properties.
Oh, it's only 8 foot? Okay. Thought it used to be different years ago.
No, it's always been the same.
Oh, okay.
It's a 20-foot aggregate, so meaning the other side needs 12. So that might be where your 20 feet was coming from. It's an 8-foot minimum, but it needs to add up to 20 when you look at both sides. And with the corner property, his 12 is on the Manor Road side.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate, but okay. Doesn't make sense. Okay,
Thanks, Michelle.
all right, thank you.
Is there anyone else that received? Will you come forward? I need to swear you again, Tom. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Full name and address for the record, please.
Thomas Thornton, 68 Yale Road, Haverford Town, PA.
And what would you like to tell us? Go ahead, Tom.
It's so much fun the first time, figure I'd stick around for a second time. I've passed this property that Jamie has here for the last 50 years. It's been an eyesore, a total eyesore. It was a dentist's office, and it looked terrible. I know how he's proposing this here. I think it looks tremendous. I think it would be great for the neighborhood. I'm for business. He's a good businessman. He runs a clean place up on Westchester Pike. I know that. So I'm just here to say I'm 100% for it.
And how close to this property do you
I'm
live?
2 blocks away.
Any questions? Bill?
No,
Ed?
thanks.
No question.
Jessica?
Question.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to testify about this case? Okay. Would you like to come up and address Michelle's questions?
So regarding the parking spots, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to the ones that you were hoping for. They just made the most sense the way the parking lot was drawn out. You had asked which ones, and I believe it's the ones that would run parallel with Manor Road. You're
Yeah.
coming into the parking lot, the first 2 on the left there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goal was just to keep.
You were going to remove those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just address us.
I would prefer you go
Yeah,
the
I'm
other
This is
sorry.
what we
direction.
Yeah,
can't have
yeah.
because the court reporter can't keep an accurate record.
Okay.
When there's back and forth with audience, I mean, Arlene's great, but it's
I
hard to
got you.
keep track when people are talking.
Yeah, so the 2 spots when you pull into the parking lot. Let's skip in front of here.
I think the two spots Michelle was referring to are numbered 5 and 6.
Yeah, the
In
back
Exhibit
corner
A.
there, if you can look on this first picture. They're kind of odd shaped. The goal was to keep everything kind of in unison. There will be a back entrance, make it the easiest for the patients to enter and access the building.
Okay. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Billy?
Nope.
Ed?
No other questions.
Jess?
No.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right, with that, we're going to close the record on this case, and it's highly unlikely, but in the event we're able to come to a decision this evening, we'll render a decision in this case tonight. If not, then a decision would be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting on July 30th. Now we're in recess.
Reset? Off the record?
With the chop. All right. Outside, Bill, or in the back room now?
I mean, I don't want to, but
Want to do Kevin, Bill? Sure. All right, Bill, we're back on. We're recording for your chop, Ed. All right. We'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, July 16th, 2020. With respect to case Z20-9, Paul and Adriana Bowen, owners of 551 Brookline Boulevard. Are you prepared to vote, Bill?
I am.
Ed?
Yes.
Jessica?
yes.
And so am I. Ed, would you please take this decision?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to approve the requested variance with the following conditions. 1, the second floor ceiling height will be less than 7 feet. 2, the only utilities will be electric. And 3, that it will be completed within 1 year of final approval from us, and also that it be built in accordance with notes of testimony.
Jessica?
I agree.
Bill?
I agree.
And so do I. That application's approved, 4-0. With respect to case Z20-13, James and Kristen Kern, owners of 1200 Darby Road, Havertown, PA. Bill, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Ed, are you prepared to vote?
Yes.
Jess, are you prepared to vote?
Yes.
And so am I. Bill, would you please take this decision?
Yeah, with respect to application Z 20-13, I would vote to deny the requested variance.
Jessica?
I would also vote to deny the variance.
Ed?
I agree.
I would vote in favor of the application. The application is denied 3-1. And just so everyone knows, I had a conversation with Kelly and asked her to contact the school district because I understand we're going to have quite a large crowd at our next hearing on the 30th. So, you know, we'll let you guys know if we're successful in contacting the district and able to get adequate space, because I understand there's going to be quite a few people at that hearing. Otherwise, if we need to meet in this room with the barrier opened even, we may have to do a little crowd management that night. And it also depends on the status of the governor's order, which I understand limits inside gatherings to 25. So, Kel, how many emails did you receive on that?
167?
Okay, so we got 167 emails. If even 100 of those people show up, we are 8 to 10 people in the room just administratively. So that would only allow for 15 additional residents. Now, if the order expires, we still need to keep the 6-foot social distancing. So I don't think we would be able to accommodate all the people that might attend, even if the 25 gathering number is lifted by then. So I'll hook up with Cal and we'll talk about that and see if we're able to successfully contact the district. You know, obviously we're doing this so that we can accommodate all the residents that are interested in participating in that hearing. And moreover, be speaking with Bill to make sure that we're in compliance with the Sunshine Act with respect to open meetings and the public's ability to attend. So we'll,
There are some questions in that regard, which I'm looking into.
Yeah, and I would suggest that, given the number of people who have expressed an interest in this, is it possible for them to appoint a delegate or someone, because of the distancing needs, to present a consensus of, maybe not everyone, but maybe a large portion of that would allow the information to get on record. They could submit a petition if they wanted to with the names of people in support of a written statement. Just something that would allow this to go on, but still allow us to be safe.
The notices for that meeting haven't gone out yet. You can certainly add something to that, effect, urging people to, anybody that had a group of people to send a representative to speak for all their.
And if they want to all sign up and have their names added to the record, they could presumably present that, right?
Yes, it's just, there are some difficulties that I have to try to navigate without going into too much detail.
okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One other administrative issue, and I know a lot of people are looking at townships now, and I think there was some questions at the township meeting about how their committees and stuff are coming back online, doing public meetings. I just want to make sure that if we could get our minutes up to date for the next meeting, so we have them be able to be posted.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we adjourn? All right, then we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.